This is a quick instruction on how to remote view where you are going to practice it yourself. But first, I need to give you a bit of background information on remote viewing and where it came from. So what is remote viewing? Well, technically, the term refers to the method that was developed by SRI, Stanford Research Institute, in the 1970s under contract with US intelligence. They wanted to understand basically if psychic information could be used in intelligence gathering in this repeatable and consistent way. At the outset, one of the big issues and questions was, how do you keep the psychics from knowing what you want to know? In other words, if you ask a psychic, for instance, to give you information on who killed JFK, they can pull from memory, news reports, whatever. They can make things up, right? They can pull from all this memory they have. So they needed a method that kept the psychics blind to the question. They did a lot of testing from, having them perceive what object is hidden within a box, which gets really boring, to where an individual was at a specific moment in time. And they called this the outbounder method, where a person would be sent to this undisclosed location wandering around, and the viewers would use that individual as somewhat of a beacon to hone in on and describe their surroundings. Now, overall, they showed that the psychics were able to obtain accurate information that was greater than chance, right? And often astoundingly exact. Even though the results were good, though, there was no working method yet that could actually be used repeatedly for intelligence gathering. Ingo Swann, he was a natural psychic, and he was involved in the program. He was friends with Jacques Vallée, who researched UFO phenomena, among other things at that time. And when Ingo presented this issue to him, he stated that, well, it sounds like you need some kind of address system. In other words, give them an address or a number that's related to something you want them to perceive, right? So from that seed, Ingo came up with giving the psychics and himself a coordinate or coordinates on Earth to describe what's there. Now, there are millions of Earth coordinates, and this makes it impossible to memorize them all and very easy to test. When they tested, this was found to be very effective. And from there, money fueled in even more, and the program was extended and it was expanded, and they called this coordinate remote viewing. Now, if you think of the coordinate system on Earth being this conceptual framework, the number relates to a location, it's easy enough from there, and something they realized, where you can create your own number and write something down for the remote viewer to remote view associated with that number. And this frees up the constraints of just describing a location, and now you can describe events and more. So the coordinate remote viewing protocol is merely a way of tasking a person, a remote viewer, in order to keep them blind to what they're remote viewing. This tasking method basically occurs on paper. They write it down, random number. It would be created and then something written under it like this. I'll do it quickly. 66532218, and we'll just say Devil's Tower, Wyoming, and then US, and then we'll go current time. You can do any time here, though. So the remote viewer would receive only the number. They wouldn't receive this. When they were done, then they can get their feedback. But this, in a nutshell, is the coordinate style remote viewing protocol. So what does a person do from there? How do they get information, right? They got the number, so what do? Well, in the early days, the remote viewers, they were people who had a natural talent, and they just took the number or the coordinate, and then they used their own methodology that worked for them. There was no real set procedure that they used across the board in order to get the information out of it. Around 1980 or so, Ingo Swann and Hal Puthoff created a method that anyone can be trained in to use with that remote viewing protocol. And they called this the controlled remote viewing methodology. And this is really just a string of techniques and stages that take a remote viewer from describing a general gestalt of what's there to fine details about it. And you don't need to have any notion of being psychic yourself or some natural ability in order to do it. You don't even need to believe in it. Now, this is something inherent within all of us that anyone can be trained to do. The remote viewing protocol, though, can be a very long process with many stages to it when you're formally trained. I personally like this long process because it has the ability to keep you in an open state for a long period of time, exploring your subtle senses and writing them down within a structure. You know, a normal session could take, well, an hour or more, and that's a long time to be in that zone, which is very good in developing this natural ability that we all have. But outside of that long remote viewing methodology, you can employ a very short technique to begin to practice this yourself. And this is what I'm going to show you now. It's so easy, actually so easy, that I have taught this over the radio in a couple of contests on Midnight in the Desert. So you'll need some paper, you'll need a pen, and then you're going to need to go to the website URL in the description where you can go and grab one of those 8-digit numbers called a tag or a coordinate, and you can practice this yourself. But make sure you do not click on that feedback link for or after your number until you're done with the practice session. Before you head over there and you grab one of those 8-digit numbers, the tag, I need to guide you through how to do this. So the first thing that we always start out with, once we write down the tag on the piece of paper, is what we call an ideogram. And this is typically the basis and starting point of a remote viewing session. And it is just a quick scribble. Now, we do have this ideogrammatic language where the shape of the scribble will represent something, but I'm going to keep that separate here, and we're just going to go extremely basic. So you've got your tag. We're going to use the tag that was associated with the Devil's Tower, Wyoming. It's not blind, understand that, and so this is just a demonstration. But after this, I will go through a blind one myself to show you what that looks like as well. I just want to demonstrate it for you right now. So you've got your tag, and then immediately after you write the tag down, you're going to do a quick scribble. So watch, just like this. 6, 6, 5, 3, 2, 2, 1, 8. Quick scribble. In fact, it's connected to my number. It just comes out. You allow your body to do it. You don't think about it. You just allow your body to do it. Your body knows what's there. There's a part of you that is absolutely cognizant of what's there. Not this mental process, but something else inside of you does. So at this point, once you've written it down, we always go to low-level sensory information. You know, the 5 senses, colors, sounds, smells, taste, touching, textures, even visuals will come as well. So we just start to probe it, right? And so I get the color brown, feels blocky and hard, tall. It's there's some green color. It's wet and cold. Now, one of the things that can and does happen during remote viewing sessions is that you start to get an idea of what you think it is, basically a concept for what it is. So if I started to think this was Mount Everest, get that in my head, I'll want to write it off to the side to just get rid of that high-level concept, not focus on it, and then go back to the low-level sensory information. So this is something that we would call an AOL, which stands for Analytic Overlay. And I would just write down Mount Everest, and then I would just drop my pen just to release it, just to forget about it. Keep in mind that the reason you come to these conclusions is because of the low-level sensory information. So you have to be very aware of that, the relationship between the two. And one of the things about these AOLs, when you get them, is that sometimes there's more information packed into those that led you to the conclusion that you didn't write down here. So you kind of have to analyze, ask yourself why you came to that conclusion as well. That helps to release it. And then you can do a quick sketch if you like. You know, I get these blocky structures. You know, it's very tall. You get these ground over here. And that's it. So what we do after this, you know, you have one page, you've done this, you get out another page, you write the tag down again, and you do another scribble. So you can get a different aspect. You can get other things that are there. We typically do up to 3 pages like this in the beginning point of a remote viewing session. So I would advise you to go through 3 pages. Now your ideogram is probably going to be different every time. If it's not different, no big deal, it doesn't matter. Your information might be different every time, but if it's not different, no big deal. So keeping it simple, couple of low-level descriptors, as much as you can get, and a sketch. Do this 3 times, 3 separate pieces of paper. It's as simple as that. All right, now that you've got the basics of it, I'm going to run through a demo session here. I've got a tag. I have no idea what it is. I am blind to it. You can also run over to the website and do one yourself, but I'm going to run through this and see what we get. So my tag is 4866 2943 2943. Okay, you see how I did the ideogram just really quick? Kind of jumped off the page there a little bit. So then I start to probe the ideogram. Probe it. Okay, so it feels like there's energy. Energy rising. Energy rising. It helps to talk it out too, you know, while you're working on it. Probe it and work on it. So it's like this, so there's this like energy moving upward, and it's like fragments around it. Fragments of energy. Fragments like popping energy. Popping energy. It seems to come. It seems to be large at the bottom. Large bottom. There's orange color. It's almost frothy. Frothy feeling. It's like frothy and like popping and white. Popping and white. And then I'll do just a quick little sketch here. So it feels like it's going up, it goes up, there's just like that. It's feeling like this. Like that. That kind of sensation of like, like a carbonated type feeling. Popping up, popping up. Okay, so that's one scan. Then I'm done with this scan. Now, what I'm going to do is I'm just going to take another run at it. We may get a different ideogram here, or we may get the same. You just never know, and you allow for whatever to happen. Remember, your body knows what it is, so you just allow it to do the ideogram. Okay, one more time here. 4866 2943. Okay, quick one. I still have this energetic, so still have this energetic moving upward. Energetic, upward, fast. Moves up fast. There's warmth, heat. Heat. It almost feels like there's something blocky as well, like something blocky. There's something structural here. You can feel there's something structural as well. Structural object, as well as energy. It feels blocky, and you still get all these like feelings with the energy as well involved with the structure. So I'm getting an energetic and a structure, and this sort of fizzy popping. Fizzy and popping. Similar to the last one, yet now we have this sort of object. Let me just draw it out. So this energy, fizzy and popping. You know, you just do these really quick representational sketches. And don't worry so much about, whether it's artistic or not. Just allow yourself to get it out, get the gestalt out of there. Okay, it's very blocky. It's very like wide structure. Now, normally in a remote viewing session, we begin with these are called scans. So we begin with 3 scans. And so I would suggest do 3 of these, 3 separate pages of it. I'm going to stop here and get feedback on this and find out what it is and show you. But this is basically how you begin to take a dive into how to remote view and exploring those senses, those low-level senses associated with one of these tags.
دار يا القصف بالبراميل متفجرة على المدينة. الله أكبر.